Okay, so we're going to look at solving equations that have fraction exponents. So you need a sheet of paper or just your notes from solving equations that we talked about before with like squares and square roots and stuff. So if we have an equation that has a fraction exponent, okay, so if you have like x to the power of 2/3 or x to the power of 5/4, we're still going to use our SADMAP. We're still going to solve with the same exact process that we did with our squares, square roots, cubes, and cube roots. Except when you get to this exponent step, so when you get to the e exponents, to get rid of your exponents, you're going to use the reciprocal of your current exponent and apply that to both sides as an exponent. So what I mean by that, reciprocal, remember, is just take your fraction and flip it. So the reciprocal of 3/2 is 2/3. Okay, so if I have this exponent, I'm going to apply this as an exponent to both sides of my equation. Okay, and my reason for why do I do that? Well, let's take x to the 3/2. Okay, let's just take that. I'm not going to set up an equation right now. I just want to show this side. Why would I use the reciprocal exponent in order to get rid of the exponent I have? Well, my reason is, let's take the reciprocal exponent. So I'm going to take this to the power of the reciprocal, which is 2/3. And we have rules of exponents that tell us because I have two exponents, I'm going to multiply. So when I multiply 3/2 times 2/3, well, 3/2 times 2/3 is 1. So that gives me x to the first, which of course is just x. So a fraction and its reciprocal being multiplied cancel each other out. So that's why those are inverse operations. So I'm going to go through a couple of examples. You're going to want to write these down on your paper. So our first one here is x to the power of 5/4 plus 36 equals 68. So we're going to solve the exact same way before. If you have parentheses or any type of a root, which on these ones you're not going to have a root because we're going to have these fraction exponents. So any parentheses, we need to get rid of anything outside of the parentheses first, and then the exponents, and then deal with what was on the inside. We don't have parentheses, so we're just going to use our SADMAP, get rid of addition and subtraction, then multiplication, division, then our exponents. So on this one, since I have a positive 36, I, of course, get rid of positive 36 with subtraction. So that gives me x to the 5/4 is equal to 68 minus 36 is 32. I don't have any multiplication or division, so I skip that step. So I'm now onto my exponent, and I'm going to apply the reciprocal exponent. So on both sides, I'm going to apply the exponent of 4/5. And same thing here. And a couple of notes with this. Number one, you're going to put whatever your number was here in parentheses with your exponent on the outside. Okay? So that when you go to your calculator, which is what you're going to do right now, go to my calculator. I'm going to just type this in my calculator where I have parentheses, my number that I had, close my parentheses, to the power of, so remember that's this button right here gives you your exponent. And then up in your exponent, you're going to type in 4/5, which you can do as a fraction if you want, which is alpha y equals, and hit enter. And it will do that for you, 4/5. Right? And then just hit enter. And look, you get an answer. You get a number. That's what you're supposed to do. That's how you do it. I don't need you to figure this out. I don't need you to do, the fifth root of 32, all of just type it in your calculator. Okay? And you get 16. And over here, these we just talked about how because we're multiplying, those equal 1. So this is just x to the first, which is just x. So x equals 16. And since x is by itself, I am done. X equals 16. Okay? On this one, I want to point out, the reason I'm using parentheses is it's just a nice habit to be in, because if I would have had a negative, okay, the negative is still supposed to give me a positive 16. But if I don't use parentheses, look, I get a negative 16. Okay, so just out of nice habit, in order to have for all the time, it's usually easier to just say use parentheses. That way you don't have to worry about do I need parentheses or not. The answer is just yes, use them. It makes life easier. Okay. Now, one other thing about your calculators. If you go to do an exponent, Mine here pops it up like a little exponent, pops it up there. Some of your calculators don't do that. Some of your calculators just show the little caret symbol. If that happens, then you need to put your fraction in its own set of parentheses also. So you have your number in parentheses, your little caret symbol, and then your exponent in parentheses, because otherwise it's only doing to the power of 4, and it's going to take that answer and it's going to divide that answer by 5, not do an exponent of 4 over 5. Okay. Next problem. We'll use different colors so that we see the differences here of my two problems. So my next one is in parentheses 2x plus 5 to the power of 3 over 2 plus 7 equals 34. Okay? So I'm going to solve this using my SADMEP, which means get rid of anything outside of my parentheses first, get rid of my exponents, and then deal with what was in the parentheses. And when I do my outside of my parentheses, addition and subtraction first, then multiplication and division. So in mine, I do have parentheses, so I need to worry about that this time. So get rid of anything outside of your parentheses first. So I need to get rid of this plus 7, which I do, of course, by subtracting 7, right? So that gives me still in parentheses 2x plus 5, all to the power of 3 over 2, equals, and 34 minus 7 is 27. I have everything outside of my parentheses taken care of, so now I move on to my exponents. I need to get rid of that power of 3 over 2. I'm going to do that by applying the reciprocal power, so 2 over 3 to both sides. That cancels out these, leaving you with 2x plus 5. It doesn't affect what was in your parentheses, it just cancels out your powers. And then equals, and I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to do parentheses, 27. Close my parentheses to the power of 2 over 3, which if you notice here, I didn't use the fraction button. I just used the division sign, and that's allowed to. But I just wanted to remind you previously, you can also do alpha y equals. You want to do that if your number was a fraction. Like if 27 was 27 over 5, I would want that as a fraction and not just a division symbol. Now up in the exponent, it should not matter. Okay. After I have that with 27 in parentheses, that equals 9. So 2x plus 5 is equal to 9. Now I just solve this equation, just like you've been doing forever. You subtract your 5, so that's 2x equals 4. And 2x equals 4, so x equals 2. Okay? And that's all you do. I do want to point out, I think there's one problem on your practice worksheet if you have a negative exponent. So if instead of 3 over 2, I had a negative 3 over 2. Okay? The reciprocal of a fraction, 4 over 7, is 7 over 4. Because what it means to be reciprocal is we just flip it upside down. So if I had negative 4 over 7, the reciprocal of that is 7 over negative 4, which is the same as negative 7 over 4. So the reciprocal does not affect a positive and negative, all right? It's still a negative if it was a negative before. It's still a positive if it was a positive before. It just flips your numerator and denominator, switches where they are, okay? That's all you need.